Quote of the day. I waited a long time out in the world before I gave myself permission to fail. Please don't even bother asking. Don't bother telling the world you are ready. Show it. Do it. By Peter Dinklage. So it's the day after Thanksgiving 2023. Back out in the garage working on the old Fox body here. So I think I have all the hardware that I need. Get some of this crap out of the way. But I got the trans to bell housing bolts here. Thanks to a buddy that I made at Holly's, and got some bell housing to engine block hardware for the QuickTime. As I probably had stated before, bought this QuickTime bell housing used from someone else. So I'm just out here today and we're gonna try to get this thing on the ground with the engine in it. So that's the big plan for the day. Got some wheel studs too, so I'm gonna pop all the old wheel studs out of the hubs there and try to get these bad mamma jammas cleaned up a little bit, knock some dirt and rust and grime and stuff off of them, get that stuff back together. So that'll be first. Get those mounted up on the back so I can get the back end on the ground. We're gonna drill and mark for where the K-member goes there, so you can pop that off of there and start working on getting that engine set onto the K-member. And we're gonna do the old trick of lifting the front of the car up, slide in the engine and trans and everything underneath, and try to get this thing mocked up in the car today. So kind of a tall order, kind of maybe not. And I want to try to get that Maximum Motorsports steering shaft in, but this guy, where it slides in the back, is a little tight. So I'm gonna have to figure out something there to free up a little room so I can slide that steering shaft in there. But that's the plan for the day, and I'll keep you posted with any updates where we're at. And hopefully at the end of the day, I can show you that there's an engine in that engine bay. So we're out here. I got these spindles kind of cleaned up, and now we're working on getting studs pressed in. So I bought a stud installer tool from Alright guys, thought I'd give a little update on the good old Puzzle Fox here. So I think as I pointed out last, I was getting rid of the original stock wheel studs and put in I ordered some Moroso 3-inch wheel studs. So you can see here, the buggers are installed. And I got the front spindles. So I got the spindles there, got them cleaned up. I went over to a friend's house and machined them out for the Maximum Motorsports bump steer kit. You had to drill that out or mill that out to a 5/8 inch hole, so I got that done there. So I still have the hubs, or the hubs sitting here. Got the Moroso studs pressed in here. I think one of the last things I showed, I made this fancy little tool for putting in a vise. And I'll go into the story of the vise here a little bit. If you notice, it's a different vise. But I made this nice little tool for popping out the original wheel studs. And I talked to a good old friend of mine, thanks Yama Dave. Ended up just using that, setting it up on the vise there, and just pounding the original ones out with a hammer. Then I thought I'd get fancy. There's actually two different knurling sizes here. Yeah, the knurling, it's 0.615 and then 0.594 if I'm remembering right for these front ones. Well, I went to my local Napa auto parts store and bought one of these nice stud installation tools. After watching some other guys on YouTube and saying how much of a savior that was, instead of doing the old stacking the washers trick with a bolt to pull those through. But man, I tell you, if I have to do one of these wheel studs again anytime soon, it'll be too soon. those were an absolute bear. So at first we were putting them and just chucking them up in the vise. I'll just use the front spindles here, hubs, as an example. So just kind of putting them in the vise like this and using that tool on the rear and just using some old lug nuts. Plop that guy on there and just using a lug nut. Well, we ended up using like one of these stock lug nuts like this and kind of popping a hole in this little end cap and running it down. And what I figured out after a while, it was looking like it was marring up the stud here. But after the fact, what happened was I took like one of these original wheel studs and tried to run it back on. But I think as it run down into the cone shape inside the stud installation tool, it actually pinched in the end of this cone shape on the wheel stud. So it was actually creating a lot of friction and drag down here at this end, and it was starting to ruin the studs a little bit. So then I thought I'd try something different, and I got some bolts, and I think I threw it away. But I bought some bolts and just welded them together so you'd have a longer one, and then I tried the stud or the washer with a bolt and washers trick, and that was a pain in the butt. I tried using just this, and instead of using the impact, using just a regular wrench or a big like 2-foot long breaker bar. That was a pain in the butt. So what I ended up doing was I had these spacers like this one. I knocked these studs out of this one already since I got the longer wheel studs now. But I paid like 45 bucks for these, so I thought these lug nuts were probably crap too, just since I got these so cheap, just for something to put the wheels on so they cleared the brake calipers. But I ended up using this guy with that stud installation tool. And then it worked a lot better. Like on the rear, like I said, they went in so hard that you'd have to hammer it down a little ways with and suck that stud down a little ways with the impact wrench from the air compressor and then back it off. Then I made sure I used lots of oil, put oil on the inside of the stud installation tool there, oil in the lug nut, and just kind of attacked it kind of slowly and kind of pinched them in a little bit at a time. But then I got to these front ones. These ones popped in. It took a little effort with the impact wrench, but they went in pretty well. Because on the rear, I bet you I went through one of these lug nuts, even though it was better. It wouldn't pinch the end of it down, but it would start ruining the threads in the lug nuts. So I bet you one of these lug nuts lasted for maybe 2 of the studs on the rears. But when I got to these front ones, they sucked in pretty good. I think I went through maybe 2 lug nuts between both of the hubs. So I'm happy to say after all my struggles yesterday, finally got those wheel studs in. So that's kind of a long-winded explanation about the wheel studs. But if you notice here, maybe you notice anyway, this is a different vise than what I had a couple of days ago. But I had had those hubs off from the rear here, and I was clamping them down, and I'm like, all of a sudden it wasn't clamping any tighter, and then just pop loose. So I don't know where I got this from, if it was a Harbor Freight one that I got about 20 years ago, but yeah, she gave up the ghost. Made a quick run to Menards and grabbed myself a new vise. But I wish I would have got some video. I did go through and really clean up. I don't know what the technical term is for it, but that spindle that goes on the back here, they were all full of grease and grime and dirt and stuff. So I took just a regular my little impact DeWalt and with a wire brush on it, and just got those cleaned up. So I'll try to post some pictures in this video here. Just showing the difference kind of before and after that. But I think I got them cleaned up pretty good, especially since they're going to be behind brakes, as you can see there. Got them cleaned up pretty decent. Well, like I said, you'll never see them once the car's all done, brakes installed, fuel tank under here. But I did take advantage of some sales on LMR last night. Got a clutch ordered for this guy to go behind the good old Coyote engine that's laying over there on the floor right now. So got that on its way, and I see they have the fuel tanks and some of the parts that go with the little seals and the little insulating mats that go on the top of the tank are on sale right now too. So probably get that ordered too and get some of that stuff on its way. Waiting for that Holley Terminator X to show up. I know it was supposed to ship on November 15th. Now it changed to November 30th. So we'll see if that November 30th date comes through or if I'll be waiting a little bit longer for it, but not a big deal on that end. At least I have it coming. I know it's on its way eventually. It's not like I'm gonna have the car together and running, be looking to fire it up tomorrow. So we'll kind of go from there. I think my next step, I'm gonna get this K member out from under the car. I had my son out here helping me yesterday when I was working on the wheel studs, and he popped a nice little hole on the bottom of here. So we can just do the alignment trick with like a 1/4 inch punch or a screwdriver. That's about a 1/4 inch shank. And get that so that we can just pop that under the car and line it up once we have that bad mamma jamma laying on it.